Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot and Astrology. I'm doing this reading for the full moon in Sagittarius on May 31st, 2026. It occurs about 4:45 a.m. That's Eastern time in the US, so adjust your time wherever you are accordingly. Oh, I forgot to turn off the machines that are making noise, excuse me. I hope that's helpful. There's one in the other room too, but I'm goofy tonight. Full moons do this to me. I'm going to talk about the astrology first, and then I've pulled some cards, so I will do the quote and talk about that in a few minutes. I don't know how long this will take, but there's a lot of stuff going on. I'll try to make it brief, but I just wanted to point out some things. This is our blue moon, meaning we've had two in the month of May. We had a full moon on May 1st in Scorpio, I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I do. And this one is in Sagittarius. Yay. I think this one's more interesting. Well, not more interesting. It's just better to me. Maybe that's just me. So I don't know if you like to see the chart or not. I never can tell. But the sun is in Gemini at 9 degrees. And I don't have a microphone yet. And I apologize for the light in here. I need to buy one of those light things, I guess, because the light's behind me. Sun in Gemini at 9 degrees, moon opposite it, of course, because it's full, 9 degrees of Sagittarius. And the full moon in Sagittarius is all about, the moon is about the feeling level. It's about intuition and emotion. And Sagittarius wants, above all, it wants truth. It wants freedom. It wants growth and expansion. Not to mention adventure and faith and hope, okay? So when the moon is here, you're going to feel like you want those things. There could be a yearning for freedom and, I want something true and I want to break out of this. You might feel kind of trapped or something. You just want to break away. And the sun over here in Gemini is about the facts. So it's saying, we have to look at the facts here. Look. This is true and this isn't true, and and I've gathered all this information. And the moon is saying, yeah, but I feel this way and I'm going to trust this. So our job during the full moon, I think, is to kind of go more toward the intuition and take that leap of faith. And you can use the data that you've gathered, but I wouldn't let it define you, because this is really important. And also, if you'll notice, this is Black Moon Lilith. That's a wide conjunction, 9 degrees, but she's the part of us that, the wild part of us that refuses to be tamed, that was never really accepted, and she's in on this, she's saying, yeah, I want to express this part of me, this, don't forget this part of yourself when you're expressing your emotions and thinking about the future. Sagittarius is the archer, the centaur with the bow and arrow, shooting off into the distance, saying, I see the horizon. I want to go there. I may not have an exact plan, but I certainly have the faith, the hope, and the optimism. Okay, so that's a good thing. And there's a lot going on here, so I'm not going to talk about everything, but the moon is in good aspect to Pluto in Aquarius. That's a sextile. So the future and progressive thinking and what's good for everybody, and how do I transform myself so that I can fit into this future and make this future happen. Is it waiting for me? Do I need to create it? Well, both probably. And there's kind of this mini grand trine here with so the moon's trining, I forgot to put the black line there, but the moon is trining Neptune in Aries, so there's a real sense of, I can dream, my dreams of who I can be and who I am, they can come true. I feel a connection with the imaginative part of my identity, and, Neptune's a lot about faith as well. And let's see, the moon is, hold on, 30, 60, 90, 120, oh yeah, also, yeah, well, I drew a black line. The moon's also trining, actually closer to a trine with Saturn in Aries. And that's good, because Saturn in Aries is about defining yourself and having boundaries and saying, this is me, this isn't me. This is going to move me forward and help me stabilize. This isn't stabilizing for me. And in fact, the other thing I want to talk about that's really important, well, let me finish the moon. I always interrupt myself. So basically we have facts over here, hope and faith and optimism over here. And, you know, maybe we can make the two work together. It doesn't have to be an either or. The full moon is a, you know, opposites are opposites. They contradict each other, but they also work with each other. They need each other. They complement each other. The sun and the moon are the farthest apart, but they get to see each other the most clearly. And we also have a square, which is uncomfortable aspect between Venus in Cancer. She's not quite to Jupiter, but she'll be there soon. Venus in Cancer is squaring Saturn in Aries. And this is where we have our emotion, our relationship energy in the sign of nurturing, mothering, wanting to, you know, to meet other people's needs and to have our needs met, belonging and home and family. Very important to Venus here. That's what she's all about here in Cancer. You know, she's all into that. And Saturn in Aries is saying, hold on. What about your personal boundaries? That's who you really are. You can't be yourself without your personal boundaries. And if you continue to let other people step over them, you're going to lose your sense of identity and everything's going to crumble. You're not going to be able to build what you need to build. So there's some tension here. So you need to look at places in your life where you've let people overstep their boundaries. Have they hurt you? Have they not supported you? Are they not nurturing? Are you giving more than you're receiving? That's not gonna, you know, she's all about the feeling and, you know, and so is the moon. And Saturn is about, well, what are we constructing? What are we building? What's real? You know, what can we touch and see? And so, yeah, there's a little conflict there in relationships. And, you know, it's about carving out a place for your identity and not letting other people encroach on it. Make sure you're being nurtured too. And there was one other thing. Oh, and then on the 1st, and I won't talk about it tonight because we got too much, but 2 other things. I'll do another reading, I think. But on the 1st, Mercury moves into Cancer. Where's Mercury here? Can't be far from the sun. Here we go. Mercury moves into Cancer on the 1st because he's at 28 degrees of Gemini. The line, here's the sign lines. That's the house line, so you can ignore that right now. And also we have Chiron at the last degree of Aries, which is super important. So again, it's too much to talk about in one night, but there's a lot going on. So let me write down when I start. I think I'll just do the cards in the same. Okay, so I'm going to read a couple of quotes, and this was interesting. So I was looking for a quote to read tonight, and I couldn't find what I wanted, and for some reason Emily Dickinson came to mind. And so I was looking through some things by her. I love Emily Dickinson, and I couldn't find the right one. So I chose a couple other ones I had written down somewhere else. And then as I was looking at this card, I said to myself, wait a minute, isn't she the poet who said hope is the thing with feathers? And it turns out she was. And so I'm just going to I'm going to read. She said, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. That's perfect for full moon in Sagittarius. And I'm just going to read this other one because this goes along with the Venus square Saturn. This was said by the American comedian W.C. Fields, he's long gone, but he said, it ain't what they call you, it's what you answer to. I may have read that one before, but I love that. That is so true. That is so true. I need to iron out my cloth here. Okay, so full disclosure, I actually pulled these cards a couple nights ago. And speaking of feathers, I drew this, or picked this guy to hold up the thing tonight. A bird, yay! Okay, I pulled these cards a couple nights ago. I was going to post, and then I've just been really tired and preparing for my play that's happening, excerpt thing on Saturday. I'm terrified, mostly because I have to get up so damn early. I'm like, how am I going to function? I can't go to sleep. Anyway, and it happens the day after the day before the full moon, and this full moon, just not that anyone's going to care maybe, but it lands on it's halfway between my Venus and my moon in Sagittarius, and it falls in my fifth house, which is the house of creativity and being recognized. And I'm like, wow, this stuff really works. I know it works. Anyway, I drew these cards a couple nights ago, and I was going to pick them up and put them away. I thought I wasn't thinking about the full moon when I drew these. I was just doing it off the cuff. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to keep them because they just feel very resonant. So I hope they make sense. And if not, I'll do another reading in a couple days, I hope, if I don't die of stage fright. Anyway, I have to perform, for God's sake. So this is The Heart of the Fairy by Brian and Wendy Frood. And I drew the Queen of Owls. Okay, in the book, it says that, I don't get this card very often, it says that she's about physical healing. And I think that's true now. I think that there are a lot of us that have been feeling under the weather, things have been stressful, and so I do think it's that. But look at the glow on her, and what do owls represent? Wisdom. And there's intellectual wisdom, Sun in Gemini, and there's emotional wisdom, Cancer, and the moon in Sagittarius, the intuition wisdom. So I feel like this represents hope, which is what this full moon in Sagittarius is, mostly about, or at least a lot about. This is physical healing, yes, but it's also a healing of the spirit, I think. I really do. I think this is hope coming in, because that, hope is the thing with feathers, just popped into my mind. So here comes some positive energy and some healing. Now, you may have to rest a bit, or, cut back a bit on some things and not expect things to happen overnight. But here it comes. We've needed this. Here comes some hope and some physical healing. And then I drew the Remembrance. And this is about looking back on the past. And it can be painful. You can tell by the look on his face. We can be healing from a grief or a loss or just a hard lesson. But this is about looking back on things that we've done, memories that we have, perhaps past relationships with loved ones, again, possibly even grieving. But it's about taking the lessons and using that information to help us decide where we want to go next. What did I do wrong? What do I not want to repeat? What did I do right? What do I wish I would have said? It's taking a long, hard look at where we've come from and using that to move forward. Okay, I know that it probably doesn't sound like it goes with hope, but it does, in a way. There, you can change things, especially when you evaluate where you've come from. So then I drew the Lady of Leprechauns, and I was like, what? And so I drew a clarifier for her, and I got in two minds. Okay, so, and if you listen to my astrology before you started, did I write down? Yes, I did. I'm losing it here. I think this is the perfect card for Sun in Gemini, full moon in Sagittarius, because this Lady of Leprechaun, she's holding a crystal ball, and crystal balls can tell us what the future holds. She's also holding this gem, this faceted gem that, according to the book, gives us clarity, but it's chiseled, so it has different viewpoints. So which one are you going to trust? And which would you prefer? Would you like to see the future and know what's going to happen? Or would you rather just have clarity and see things clearly around you as they are now? Because she's offering you a choice here. And because she's the Lady of Leprechauns, she's tricky. Because the book says, you know, are you sure you really want to know what the future holds? And if you only have one facet, if you're looking at one facet, or if you look at too many facets, you can get confused. So I'm feeling like this could be the Gemini, all the, you know, you marshal all the facts. Well, facts can contradict each other sometimes. And then here's the future. And I think the full moon in Sagittarius is telling us, you know, trust your intuition and hope about the future. Be optimistic. Be positive. Take that leap of faith. Be bold. You know, go ahead and hope. Have some faith. But it's interesting that we get this choice here. It's like, which one do I choose? Well, maybe you don't have to, maybe one doesn't have to negate the other. Anyway, it came out with, I asked for a clarifier. Does this look like a clarifier? It's in two minds. So we feel like we're being torn in two directions. Do I go with what seems practical? Do I go with the facts? You know, the fact could be, you know, I have a health challenge. I have financial challenge. I don't have anyone to help me. You know, whatever it is. I'm in the middle of a divorce. Whatever your challenges are. And then there's the other reality. I've done this before and I know I can do it. I've had this dream for ages and I think it's time. I'm getting signs from the universe that whatever it is that I'm hoping and dreaming for can manifest. Am I going to listen to the worry or am I going to go for it? Which one are you going to choose? But you could feel torn. Anyway, now I'm feeling like I want to draw some kind of a, just for fun. Oh, it's dreadfully hot in here. I don't have the fan in here anymore. So I got to shift things around here. I'm going to pull one Shaman's Dream card just because I have a love-hate relationship with this deck. Not the fairies, the Shaman's Dream. It's a little bit is that the word prescriptive? Like it just feels too rigid sometimes. It's like this is it, you know. This is like the fairies, I feel like they have a lot of nuance. Okay, nothing's coming out. Oh, these decks, I swear to God, you would... Okay, no. Let me grab something else. Nope, not those. Sorry about this. I should have... I'm trying to find my Wisdom of the Oracle. Here they are. They're buried. I just feel like I want to cap it off with something. Okay. I was going to pull the Kim Cran's Power of the Archetype. Or is that what it's called? What is wrong with me? I get goofy on a full moon. Nervous on a new moon, goofy on a full moon. I hope I don't screw up the... I have to play the main character and I'm terrified. Thank God it's not like we don't have... I was going to say we don't have clothes on. Actually, we do have clothes on. I mean, we don't have costumes, is what I meant to say. We will, however, have clothes on. It's not the play hair. Okay. Peace. No. Sorry, that's not what I want. I'm probably trying to pin this down too much, but I'm going back to the Shaman's Dream. The cards have just been weird for me lately. Now I pulled two. No. Okay, never mind. Apparently I'm trying to over-clarify. It must be the Sun in Gemini and Mercury in Gemini, so we'll be better in a few days when Mercury moves into Cancer, and I'll talk about that later. So we're just going to go, hopefully we will find some peace. I'm not negating peace, but I don't feel like that goes with this other message. So anyway, please leave me a comment. Let me know how this resonates and how you're doing. And please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. I would appreciate it very much. And I will talk to you later. Happy full moon in Sagittarius, everybody. Blessings. Good night.